90.1 WMPR. We are located in Jackson, Mississippi, and thank you so very much for you listening this Monday morning. Of course, it's been a long time coming. Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. Dr. Sabrina Williams is back in the house, ladies and gentlemen. She has been missing in action since Armstrong came back to the radio. Oh man, but I've heard all kind of stuff been going on in her life. She got double trouble. She got double trouble. So we're gonna go to Studio B right now, where So Talks Money and More. Dr. Sabrina Williams is standing by with a lot of information that she's gonna pass along to us here on So Talks Money and More. Good morning to you, Dr. Williams. How you doing this morning?
I am very well, my friend. It is so good to be back, and I got to start out right because y'all know how I do it. Good morning. Get up and turn that radio on. So it's Talking Money and More this morning. I am your host, Dr. Sabrina Edmond Williams, author, investor, and talk show host. You could ask me so long, so I'm trying to mess it up. I am your host, Dr. Sabrina Williams, educator, author, and investor, opening minds and closing contracts. I am so noted, and I am so excited and so delighted to be back in this studio this morning, you guys. It's been a long time. I have missed you. I have missed you, Mr. Armstrong, and I'm so happy to see that you are back. And just know that you have been in our thoughts and our prayers, and we will continue to pray your strength. I have missed the conversations that we have here on this platform. I have missed the real talk about money, faith, family, and legacy. You know, we talk about all that here at So Talks Money and More. This our radio show has always been more than just a show. For me, it's been about community, and I'm so grateful for an opportunity to come back this morning and just kind of give an update about the things that are going on with me. So first and foremost, I got to give a shout out, Mr. Armstrong, to all those Seattle Seahawks fans. I know they were very happy. My husband was telling me when we got to the fourth quarter, he said, now here's the comeback right here. It's coming in this fourth quarter. And when I looked up and saw the score, I think it was 22-9 or something like that. I said, no, I don't think the comeback coming. He said, just watch. Now they're gonna make a field goal, and then here they're gonna see the Patriots gonna make 2 touchdowns back to back, and we're going into overtime. Well, that didn't happen, but want to just say congratulations to our Seattle Seahawks. I read a story that was very inspiring. Mr. Hall, I think it was Derek Hall, perhaps, young man from the Mississippi Gulf Coast that came into the world really, really early. I think he was less than 3 pounds back in the early 2000s. Stayed in the NICU, from what I understand, for several months. And the doctors gave him, Mr. Armstrong, a 1% chance of survival. But as I understand it, that young man played in the Super Bowl on yesterday. So don't tell me what my God can't do. Don't tell me what God can't do. When the doctor says it's over, it's too late. There is somebody who is in control, who knows our future and what our futures hold. So with that being said, many of you have been calling and asking and wondering, where is Dr. Williams? What is she doing? What have you been doing? What's going on? And the truth is, you guys, I've been living. I've been growing. I've been stretching. And like our forever First Lady, I have been becoming. And I have certainly, as Mr. Armstrong said, I have been blessed. Since the last time you saw me sitting in this studio, I have become a first-time grandmother. Oh my gosh, let that sink in. I'm going to say that again slowly. I became a grandmother, and not just any grandmother. God blessed our family with not one, but 2 beautiful twin baby girls, 2 little miracles. 2 little reminders, 2 little reasons why legacy for Dr. Williams It's not optional. It is not optional. I'm so thankful. I am so thankful. If you had asked me a year ago this time, did I see this coming? My answer would have been no. But God bless me. Bless me, as I say, with not one, but two little girls, beautiful little girls, two little miracles, two little reminders of why legacy is not optional. When I look at those little girls, Mr. Armstrong, I don't just see babies. I see responsibility. I see stewardship. I see future. And I see why what I teach really does matter, you guys. It matters. I see why what we talk about on this show, the conversations that we've had about legacy and legacy planning, I see why all that matters. And I certainly see why trust matters. And that leads me to what today's show is really about, what I want to talk about today. And I thank you so much for tuning in, all of those that are tuned in on YouTube as well as Facebook. Thank you so much. I have missed you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to talk this morning about my trust journey. And I don't want you to tune out because there are some things I promise if you will listen to Dr. Williams, they will bless your spirit as well. I came back to tell you some truths. I'm in a season of my life now where trust really does matter, more so than ever. When I wrote my book, Learning to Trust, I truly believed I was writing a book. That's all I was doing, was really writing a book. I thought I was simply organizing my thoughts, organizing lessons. I thought, the information, I knew it was important. And I thought I was simply helping families understand estate planning better. That's what I thought I was doing. Really didn't have a clue as to why that title, Learning to Trust, was placed in my spirit. Had absolutely no idea. I had no idea that God was actually calling me into something much deeper. And what I certainly did not realize is that I was stepping into a journey that would stretch me. And in particular, it would stretch my character. Let that sink in. It would stretch my character. This is the part that I want you to get. Don't leave me this morning, because in the times that we're living in, somebody needs to hear this word. Because there are a lot of us that are walking around with flawed character, or shall I say some character flaws. I didn't realize it when I was that I would actually be stepping into a season that would teach me how to trust people differently. And I certainly did not realize that God would use this work, my book, to show me how much of my trust still needed to be placed fully on Him. Again, some of y'all need to hear this word, because I think many of us can relate to having a lack of trust, not really understanding and fully understanding where to place our trust. For a long time, I thought learning to trust meant learning how to trust others. People like my clients, partners, vendors, business relationships, people who say they want to support you, people who say they want to collaborate. But God has given me a very gentle, and if I'm being 100 with you, sometimes it's not been so gentle. He's given me a way of showing me that this journey that I'm on is not just about trusting people. It's about trusting Him. It's about trusting His timing. It's about trusting His protection, trusting His direction, and sometimes His redirection. It's about trusting His silence. That can be deafening. When we want to hear a word, Mr. Armstrong, and that word doesn't come, that's silence. But we got to trust the silence. That can be hard. especially for someone like myself who is organized, someone who tends to plan, and someone who teaches readiness. That can be hard. Now, one of the things that I have come to realize, and I came to this conclusion toward the end of 2025, that it was time for Dr. Williams to go on what I'm calling my self-first journey. I don't know if any of you can relate, but let me just explain what I'm talking about. You know, there are times, and there are many of us in our lives that we pour and we pour into others. And that's fine. But in this season, God has placed me in a situation and He's teaching me that what you cannot do is you cannot keep trying to pour into everyone else while running on empty yourself. I'm going to say that again because somebody needed to hear that word. You cannot continue trying to pour into everybody else while you yourself are running on empty. We were never called to do that. And honestly, that's where trust and character have collided in my life. Now, one of the greatest lessons in this season has been learning how to say no without guilt. Learning how to just say no. And for somebody out there, I just need you to know, no is a complete sentence. It does not require further explanation. No is just no. If you don't have to explain your yeses to folks, you don't have to explain your no either. No is just no. You got to learn how to set boundaries, not over explain your boundaries. Learning not to rescue situations that God never assigned you to fix. You know, Dr. Williams has been guilty of that. I like to fix things. I like to help. But sometimes you have to realize that there are certain situations that you were never assigned to try to fix. And my advice to you, don't step in that. Do not step in that. Sometimes folks need to fix their own stuff. They need to figure it out. You can't figure out everything for everybody. This journey has shown me that I got to learn not to keep showing up in spaces where I'm only tolerated, but never truly supported. I don't know if that resonates with anybody, but somebody needs to hear that word too. That is trust. That's what trust is. Because when you stop over functioning for other people, you are trusting God to do what only He can do. And that's what many of us really need to learn how to do. Who are we trusting? Learning to trust. Learning to trust who? Some of us need to learn how to trust ourselves. Yes. Now, another part of this self-first journey for me has been learning how to protect my time, you guys. As I say, I'm a grandmother now, and I have 2 babies, not just one. I have to help out with 2 grandbabies. So I have to learn how to protect my time, not just my calendar, my mental space, my creative space, my emotional space. Because sometimes there are going to be opportunities, and maybe they will be good opportunities. You know, I have often said all money ain't good money. All money ain't good money. Sometimes you have to walk away from it. Sometimes things that look good on paper may not be the best thing for you. They may look good, they may appear good, but they may not be peaceful for your spirit. And I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that. Now, my self-first journey is teaching me a lot, you guys. Learning to trust is teaching me that peace is a form of protection. And protection is a form of provision. That's a character lesson. And that's one that many of us can stand to learn. Not just Dr. Williams, but there are many of us that need a character lesson. You know, need a character lesson. And I'll give you an example. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Just this past week, the internet was all abuzz about a post that was circulating, came from the social media account of the POTUS. For those of you that are not familiar with that acronym, President of the United States. And it was a very, very disrespectful, shall I say, post. And a lot of people got upset. And I understand why they were upset. But the reality is, as Maya Angelou has said, when people show you who they are, believe it. Believe them the first time. If you already know who people are, then why are you getting upset or surprised at anything that people say or do? And we have to understand that all of us are not necessarily where we need to be when it comes to our character, because there are certain things that your character is not going to allow you to do. And when you do them, you have the decency to acknowledge that you were wrong. And that for many of us is very difficult. As I minister unto others, I minister unto myself. It's not easy to say I was wrong, but that's part of character development. One of the hardest things God has been teaching me in this season is how to trust people appropriately. Now, if you're just tuning in, you join me at a great time, because I'm going to walk this one out for you. As my good friend, Mr. Sherry Jones says, it's time to walk it out. I'm going to walk this one out for you. How to trust people appropriately, not blindly, not emotionally, not desperately, but wisely. That's a lesson many of us can stand to learn. Because the reality is, everybody is not trustworthy. Everybody is not trustworthy. And trust is something that's earned. We need to start allowing people to prove that they are trustworthy before we give them our trust. And Dr. Williams has had to learn that the hard way. Now, learning to trust does not mean giving people access to everything in your life either. There are some spaces and some things that, only those who have earned your trust really deserve access to. It means giving people access that matches, listen to this, their character, consistency, and capacity. Giving people access that matches their character, consistency, and capacity. And that's not unloving. It's not. That's stewardship. That is stewardship. And that's a message that somebody needs to hear. In estate planning, I teach families that trustees must be chosen carefully. And why is that? Because access to assets requires integrity. The same principles apply to your life as well. Who you trust with your time, who you trust with your vision, who you trust with your work, who you trust with your vulnerability. Think about that for a moment. Everybody does not deserve access, because access requires integrity. And that's something that Some of us could stand to really, really, really improve. That's an area we can stand to improve in. Now, again, I didn't come back to tap dance. I came back to give us some truth, some hard truth this morning, because many of us need hard truth. That's part of the problem that we have in the society that we live in right now. Got a lot of folks that's scared to tell the truth. Scared to tell the truth. Even when you're stepping on your own toe. It's still the truth. Just because it applies to you, that doesn't make it not be true. The truth is the truth. Got to learn how to trust people without losing yourself. Now, I want to say this, and I want to go on record as saying this. There are some in our community that really could stand to learn a lesson about character, about integrity, and about doing what you say you are going to do. And when you don't do that, you owe people an explanation for why you did not do that. And that applies to Dr. Williams and anybody else who falls within that category. What you talking about, Dr. Williams? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to make it plain for you. I'm going to walk it out for you. There are many people in our community. See, we're worried about what the other folks doing, but let's talk about what's going on over here. Let's talk about what's going on in our own community. If you are an individual, whether you singularly or if you're a business owner, and I'm particularly talking to business owners today, and you expect people to do business with you, then you need to have some integrity about yourself in how you do business with others. Hello? Don't expect folks to pay you when you won't pay the folks you owe. It doesn't work like that, nor should it work like that. Why would you expect for you to receive a blessing, but other folks are not blessed? We got to stop operating like that. And then we wonder why people won't help us, why people won't invest in us, why our own people won't do it. It's time to check your character. Time to see if you are where you need to be. And the reality is, if you're not, it's okay as long as you are aware of it and you are working toward fixing it. Because it's unacceptable for us to continue in this manner. We're in a season where we need some truth. And Dr. Williams is here to give it to you. That's what I came for this morning. Now, God is using and has used this learning to trust journey to work on me first. That's a hard truth right there, you guys, because when I started what I call my self-first journey, I thought it was, Dr. Williams, you got to put yourself first. No. What he was saying is you got to start with yourself. And I know I'm not the only one. There are some others of us that need to do the same. Before the platforms, before the speaking invitations, before the conferences, before the interviews, God has been working on my patience, you guys, my obedience, my humility, my willingness to wait, my willingness to listen. That's the one that gets many of us. We don't want to listen. We resent what people try to tell us, especially if it's something we don't agree with. Sometimes the best thing for us are not always the easiest to hear, but we've got to be willing to listen. Listen. And then here's the other one. God has shown me during this self-first journey is I have to have a willingness to let him lead, even when the path looks different than what I had planned. Because we know what the word tells us. His plans are not our plans. Our plans, pale in comparison to the plans that he has for us. But we've got to be willing to allow him to lead, learning to trust. Trust that he's going to lead us in the right direction. And I believe with everything in me that this works bigger than a business. This work that I'm doing, it's bigger than any business. It's a ministry, you guys. It's a calling. It's an assignment. It's what gets me up, and it continues to get me up to come and to give this word to my people, because I know that there are many of us that need to hear this word. Many of us. It's called truth. And truth is not always easy. I get it. It is not always easy to digest, but it's necessary. Necessary. You got to think about that. Got to think about how we are interacting with each other. Are we really, really walking in integrity in our dealings with our fellow man? What are some opportunities to develop our character? What are some opportunities? There are many of them out there. Many of them out there. Now, yesterday I heard something. I just want to drop this in your spirit because it's sad in mine and it's still on my mind, and I'm going to do something with it at some point. But I was in worship yesterday, and the preacher said that there's a difference between help and charity. There's a difference between help and charity. And I need you to lean in and listen to me close. When you go to someone or someone comes to you and they ask you for help in the form of, let's just say, for example, can I borrow something from you? And you help the individual. That's totally different from charity. That's totally different from me saying, hey, here is $20. I feel charitable. I'm giving you this. No, it does not work like that. It doesn't work like that. If you go to a person and nothing is wrong with your mouth when you go and you tell them that you want to borrow something from them, then there should be absolutely nothing wrong with your mouth when it's time to repay the individual or the individuals. You know, we did a whole month on credit and credit restoration. And the truth be told, many of us, we have bad credit because we don't do what we say we're going to do. Now, I know that there are people that would say, well, Dr. Williams, you don't understand. This situation came up and that situation came up and life happens. I get it, you guys. Life happens to all of us. But at the end of the day, there should be something within all of us that leads us to be able to say, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. Now, it may take me longer to do it, but I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do. And I'm going to be personal enough to go to you and tell you what my plan is. Because the reality is what tends to happen a lot of times. And, so it's talking money and more. Right now, I'm focused on the money. We're going to get to the more in just a little while. But right now, I'm focused on the money. What happens is people forget, people get mad, people get attitudes. You asked me for help. You didn't ask me for charity. And because you asked me for help, there is an expectation that you are going to do what is necessary to put it back in my hand. Because one of the things we don't understand in this whole trust conversation, let me just go back to this. My mama always told me, said, be careful how you treat people because you never know who you're going to need in this world. And if I can go to you and I can ask you for help and you help me, then that should tell me something about our relationship. We have the type of relationship that is built on trust, a trust that I can come to you and a trust that you will provide. But now, one of the things that I think we don't get right, is that there is a responsibility to communicate. No matter what is going on with you, we have a responsibility to communicate. Because silence is what breaks trust, you guys. Silence. When you get things from people and you don't open your mouth to tell them what's going on with you, that breaks trust. Or when you tell people, y'all know this one, I'm going to pay you on Friday. Well, which Friday? The month has sometimes 5 of them in it. Which Friday am I going to get my money back on? The 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, or the 5th? Which one am I going to get it back on? And sadly, many times Friday never comes. Or shall I say it comes and goes and it comes and goes and it comes and goes. But that Friday that you were talking about never comes. And we wonder why people don't want to help us. We wonder. It's called character. Building relationships. And that's one of the things that this trust journey has really taught me, you guys. It's taught me the value of relationships. You know, value of relationships. And I don't know that enough of us really understand and value relationships. We don't value. Again, I go back to worship service on yesterday. One of the examples the preacher used, he said there was a owner of a business, a quite successful business here in the metro area. So this gentleman's time was so valuable that when you did get in front of him, basically he needed to know that you were for real. Wasn't gonna waste his time and said, he basically tell you, I'll give you a couple of $1,000s just to get out of my face. You know, hey, what is it that you want? And his response when he had a meeting with the gentleman was very interesting to me. He said what he told him was, I don't want your money. I simply want to develop a relationship with you. I want a relationship with you. We don't understand the value of relationships enough. And that is the very basis of trust and this trust journey. Can I trust you to do what you say you're going to do? Can I trust you to be a good steward of what I have entrusted in your hand? Can you be trusted? And that's a question that some of us need to ask ourselves. Are we really trustworthy? Are we really good stewards with what has been entrusted to our hands? Now, I'm looking at the clock. I thought I was going to take a little break here, but hey, Mr. Armstrong, we're going to go to a station break and I'll come back on the other side because I got some more to say this morning. Y'all don't leave just because we go to break because this thing is just getting good to me.
Hey Chris, at Prestige Auto Sales and Service. We're located at 2265 Highway 80, Jackson, Mississippi. We have some of the coolest deals in town. That's right, the seasons are changing. We're in the winter time of the year. Cool weather would cause the following. Weak batteries to fail, tire pressure to change, old hoses to leak. Prestige is offering a vehicle winterizing special. For more information, 601-487-8481 or feel free to drop in. No appointments needed. Prestige Auto, a proud underwriter of WMPR.
Stop going to tax offices that just do taxes. At TCL Financial and Tax Services, they don't just do taxes, they know taxes. Stop going to tax offices that are only open 4 months out the year and nowhere to be found after April 15th. TCL is open year-round just in case you need them. It gets even better. You can also win a free TCL Roku Smart TV. TCL has been serving you for over 20 years and has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. They have 4 locations: Viral, Canton, Highway 18, and Mega Evers Boulevard. Please visit TCLFinancialTaxServices.com. And remember, at TCL, they just don't do taxes, they know taxes.
A proud supporter of WMPR.
All right, all right. If you're just tuning in this morning, don't be surprised. Yes, it is I, Dr. Williams, is in the house this morning. I stopped by WMPR this morning because I had something to say. And I'm so happy to see on the other side of the window, my good friend, Mr. Larry Armstrong, is back in the house. And we're going to walk this thing out this morning. We're talking about trust this morning. Dr. Williams is sharing, what has been going on with her since I left the studio back in December. God has blessed me with, as I said, 2, not 1, but 2 beautiful granddaughters. My first time becoming a grandparent, and it is phenomenal, you guys. I have always been told that being a grandmother is so much better than being a mother. If we could just skip over the children and get to the grandchildren, it would be great. But considering we cannot do that, I am in a very good season of my life, but I'm also in a season of growth, you guys. I'm in a season where God is showing me some things and really, I believe, trying to use me to help better his people. And so what I'm sharing with you this morning is what has been given to me to give to you. And if it blesses you, then I did what I was supposed to do. Now, if I step on your toes, if I upset you in some way, then the message was probably for you to. It was probably for you to go ahead and accept it as it is. Don't shoot the messenger. Just think about the words and let them develop you. I guess I would say accordingly, as they should. And when we talk about trust, again, I go back to trust. It's amazing to me how many people that will say, I don't have nobody I can ask for anything. And I want to tell you this. If you have lived on this earth for 30, 40 years, and you have nobody that you can ask for nothing, that says something about you. That means you have not done what you needed to do. You have not established relationships with people. Perhaps you have not shown yourself to be trustworthy. Think about that. Because trust basically is established when we do what we say we're going to do. Think about it. You go to the bank to borrow money. They set up terms, lending terms. You comply with the terms of that lending agreement. You have no problems going back to the bank, getting more money, getting another loan, because you did what you said you were going to do. And then during those periods of life where things were challenging and hard, if you go into the bank and you sit down with your lender, your banker, and you talk to them, certainly it is possible to make some type of arrangements. But many of us don't do that. What we do is we fall into this deafening silence. You guys. And I know this because I've been on both sides. I'm not ashamed to say it. I can't minister to you unless I minister to myself. I have been on both sides. I know what that feels like. But we have got to do better. We've got to understand that this is a matter of character. It's a matter of integrity. If we can go to people and we can ask them to help us, then certainly we should be able to. We owe them our voice when it is time to repay them, especially if we cannot. Especially if we cannot. And that's a lesson that Dr. Williams is having to learn. Now, for me personally, I'm going to tell you, and I'm not going to use an excuse. I'm going to tell you what my problem has been. You know, this whole economy and the way things work basically boils down to, I owe you, you owe me. I got to pay my stuff based on somebody else paying me. And I found myself in situations time and time again where people owe me, but they don't pay me, which puts me in a position where I can't take care of my financial responsibilities. And even when that is the case, I still have a responsibility to the people that I owe. I owe them my voice to let them know. Because I one time had somebody tell me, I don't care if you got to go sell some blood. I want my money. Let that sink in. I don't care what you have to do. You came, you asked for it, I gave it to you, and now there's an expectation on my part that you're going to honor your end of this bargain. Some would say that's a little extreme, but I want you to think about it. We owe our voice to people when we are in that situation. Now, the other thing that this journey has shown me is everybody is not trustworthy. Trust is something that needs to be earned. Trust is something that needs to be earned. And there are a lot of folks out there that want people to trust them. But let me just tell you, baby, you ain't trustworthy. No, you are not. You have not proven yourself to be trustworthy because you don't do what you say you're going to do. It's that simple. That's why you can't get money from the bank. That's why the credit union don't want to deal with you. That's why. That's why. It had, we're quick to say, well, people being, racist, or they being this and they being that. No, what's your track history? What's your track history? We don't think about that part. This is that money talk. So it's talking money and more this morning. It's that money part that we need to really, really think about and understand. And certainly when there are those of us within our community that God has blessed and positioned to be able to help us, why in the world would you want to ruin those relationships? Why? Because when you don't do right by the people within our community that have the ability to help us, that prevents them from being able to help the next person. That's the part I don't think you get and you don't understand. It's not just about you. It really is not. It is about more. It's about community and our ability to be able to help community. Let that sink in. Not a lot of us out there that are on this journey. Not a lot of us out there that are even positioned to be able to help others. And then when we do, we find that those that should be doing what they need to do, they don't do it. Now, as a landlord, many of you know that I've been in the rental business for a while, working my way out of it after almost 30 years, working my way out of it. But I've often heard, these stories about terrible landlords, horrible landlords. They won't fix nothing. That's the first thing people gonna tell you. Why you move? Because they wouldn't fix nothing. They didn't do this and they didn't do that. Quick to tell you that part. But the part that they don't tell you is, well, I only pay rent when it's convenient for me, not as I agreed according to that contract. You never hear anybody come to you and tell you it was about me and what I did not do. It's always about what the landlord didn't do. They didn't fix this. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. Well, Here's the hard truth that some of us need to hear. Whether you pay your landlord or not, guess what? The landlords still have, even if they own the property free and clear, they still have taxes, they still have insurance, they still have things that they have to maintain on that property, whether you pay them or not. It's time for some of us to take a hard look in the mirror, because we're trying to put some things on folks that ain't always on them. Sometimes the responsibility for things need to be shared. Yeah, I said it. And it needs to be said. That's the problem. We tap dancing around things that really do need to be said. Truth. Truth matters. Truth hurts. Trust. Learning to trust. Learning to trust. I'm going to move on because for some of us, this truth may be too much, and I don't want to overload you this morning. I didn't come in here to do this. Didn't come to overload you, but I had to tell you what was on my heart this morning. That's what I came for, to give you my heart this morning. And somebody somewhere needed to hear this word. Was it you? And if it wasn't you, we're streaming to Facebook. Send the folks on over to my Facebook. Maybe this message was for them. But somebody needed to hear this word. It's time for all of us, you guys. We see this world that we're living in. We're wondering why we're going through what we're going through. It's time for all of us to start looking at our character, looking at how we are interacting with people and how we are treating people, and trying to fix us instead of everybody else. Let's start there. No, MJ told us years ago, start with the man in the mirror. That's where we need to start. Now, with that being said, I want to tell you something else about this trust journey that I didn't understand, and I guess I see it a little bit clearer now. What started as a book, one book, Learning to Trust, and I woke up at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning because Spirit said, get up and start writing. And I did. But that one book has now grown into what I proudly call the Learning to Trust Legacy Planning Education System. Why? Because in all our getting, we need an understanding. And there are some things that we certainly need to understand, to educate ourselves on. And I don't know of anything else that is more important after our soul salvation and finding out how we get from here to wherever else we're trying to go. I don't know of anything else that's more important than learning how to be good stewards, than learning how to have good character and integrity, and to love people and to treat them right. I don't know of anything else that's more important. And with this legacy planning education system, it's an entire learning journey, and it's designed, you guys, to really help us. Sometimes the truth hurts, but if it's helping us to be better people, to learn better, to do better, to move better, to position our families for better, why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we support it? Want to teach you some things, you guys. Want to talk about wealth building in our community. Part of wealth building is, again, being responsible with how we steward what has been entrusted to us. Entrusted to us. How we protect what we've worked hard to create, and how to transfer what we have built wisely and peacefully. Peacefully. So I'm excited this morning. I am excited. I mean, it may not appear that way, but I'm excited to be here because I go back to the question I posed when people ask Dr. Sabrina, what have you been doing? Where have you been? I've been working, you guys. I started working last year on a few things, and Some of those projects have come to fruition, and I'm so excited about them because I see them as a way of feeding into, of giving back to my community what has been entrusted to me, the knowledge that has been entrusted to me. So this week, I am happy to announce that we're releasing a new product. It's called the Learning to Trust Study Guide. The subtitle of the book is Biblical Wisdom for Building, Protecting, and Transferring Wealth. Now, that may sound slightly familiar, and it should, because the book is a companion to Learning to Trust, the Black Family's Guide for Building, Protecting, and Transferring Wealth. It's time to have a different conversation in a different setting as well. This book was designed specifically for our faith-based groups. You know, we talk about money in church all the time. Tithes and offering. We talk about that. And that's important. I will admit it takes money to run God's house. I do get that. But we also need to expand that conversation, because if we're not teaching people how to be good stewards of what has been entrusted to them, there's nothing available to give. So it's time to have an elevated conversation. And I'm so glad that in God's infinite wisdom that he gave me something that I could give back to my people. So this book is designed like a Sunday school book, actually. And I'm hopeful that the community will receive it as such. A book specifically written on stewardship, legacy, and financial responsibility. Legacy conversations should not only happen during crisis. You know, when grandma dies or mama dies and we figure out, you know, what's next. We got to make sure that the person is put away, and, you know, the funeral home don't play. They will let your loved ones just lay there. They're not putting anybody in the ground on credit anymore. So there's a cycle, and I want you to follow what I'm saying. When I go back to that trust conversation, if your loved one has not done what they need to do to properly prepare, you may have to go to somebody and ask for help to put your loved one in the ground. If you have not built relationship, if you have not built trust, folks ain't willing to help you if you have not done what you said you're going to do. Okay? See how that circles around? You may need help. The legacy conversations, as I said, we shouldn't just start them when a crisis happens. They should happen in community. Legacy conversations should happen in safe spaces. They should happen in prayer, and they should happen with guidance. So we have actually written something to serve as a guide to help people move from information to transformation. You know, Dr. Williams has long said, I can give you the education, I can give you the information all day long, but unless and until there is some application, some implementation, your situation is not going to change. And we should be tired by now of burying folks and not being prepared. We should be tired of that. We should be tired of folks leaving behind property that is not properly titled to transfer without it being caught up in a lot of drama. We should be tired of that, you guys. If your family's property was transferred to you as heirs property, there is absolutely no reason under God's green earth, under the sun, why you should be sitting here not doing anything to make sure that you don't leave the same drama for your family. There's no reason for you to do that, especially if you follow Dr. Williams' program and my teachings. There's no reason to do that. We have the information available for you, okay? And we want to help you get it done. Now, I decided we had a big launch when we did Learning to Trust, when we released it. In fact, we had 2 lunches, a whole weekend, Saturday and a Sunday lunch. And I thank all of you who showed up for me. I mean, I had lots of people that showed up when Learning to Trust lunch. But this time I decided I'm not doing a formal lunch, not doing a countdown campaign, but I want to do something special. I really do. Because again, this information, y'all, we living in a time where we need some truth. We need people that are sincere and that want to help us move forward as a people, as a community, that want to see us unified, that want to see us growing, that want to see us learning. When you know better, you're supposed to do better. So I wanted to do something as a token of my appreciation to my community and to those who have supported me. So, we have Valentine's Day. That's our love day that's coming up on Saturday. If you did not know, make sure you prepare properly for your loved ones. Now, what better way to tell somebody you love them, to show someone you love them, than to start making plans for your legacy? So I am releasing a limited number of my study guides this week, and I'm discounting them. I am discounting them through midnight on February the 14th. I don't want to go into pricing on air because I want you to go over to that website, www.iamsonoted, that's IAMSEWNOTED.co. Go over there. Information is there for you. The guides are being discounted. They're being discounted. The sale is already on. It's already started. But again, only a limited number of books are being released. So if you want yours, and I encourage you to get it, get the book and start a small group discussion. A lot of us do book studies. Do a book study around it. Okay? Give me some feedback. Let me know if I'm talking about anything, if I'm not talking about anything. It's based on biblical wisdom, because the reality is, even though we don't see the words estate planning in the Bible, we have way too many examples of people that prepared, people that did things to protect, and people that properly transferred their estates. We have biblical examples. So there's no reason for us not to get this right. And we have put it together in the form of this study guide. I want to actually offer a challenge to the faith-based community. We have only about 100,000 or so churches in the Jackson metro area. Support the work. Do a study. Let's teach our people. We have a lot of ministers that actually have programs here at WMPR. I'm asking you to support the work because, in my opinion, if other communities can support their own, certainly we can support this work of trying to educate our people on how to get this right, how to get legacy right, how to handle their assets and transfer them properly. That's biblical as well. It's just as biblical as everything else that's in that Bible, okay? So we're asking you, go visit the website. And as a special bonus, we have also discounted the original Learning to Trust book, and that one will be discounted as well through midnight on this Saturday, Valentine's Day. So we're asking you, go support the work. If you have not done, this is what's amazing to me. When people listen to my voice, and they still confused. They still, I don't know what to do. Okay, well, take some action. Don't just be hearers of the word. Be doers of the word. Go get the book. Take it back. Get some extra copies. Share them with your family. Share them with your church group. We got to get this word in these churches so that our people are doing things differently. We got to get this done, you guys. It's too much riding on it. Too much riding on it. Now, in closing, I thank you. I thank you. I ask you to support me, support what we're trying to do for the community, because the bottom line is legacy really does matter. The more seasoned I get, I realize that more and more. Becoming a new grandmother and looking at my granddaughters, I realize legacy does matter. And I also realize that trust matters. It really does. Because our families, they deserve clarity instead of all this chaos. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Chaos. Because what we build today, you guys, will speak for us long after we are gone. I just want to say this and then I'm going to move on. You know, when you read your Bible, one of the things I've often wondered, Mr. Armstrong, there were a whole lot of people throughout history. A whole lot of people, even, you know, when Adam and Eve were created, obviously there had to be some other people somewhere, because you had all of these folks that ended up showing up. No, a lot of people. But you only read the story of a few select individuals. I wonder why God chose those individuals to talk about and not everybody else. Part of the reason could be because they had a story worth telling. They left a legacy behind. My question to you is, what are you leaving behind? Who's going to be talking about you after you're gone? And if they are talking, what are they saying? Will your family be saying, my mom, my dad, my aunt, my uncle thought enough of us to get their affairs in order and leave behind a lasting legacy? And I'm not just talking about money. Character, integrity, honor, that's a legacy worth leaving behind as well. And with that being said, I thank you for welcoming me back today. I thank you for walking with me during this journey. And as always, when trust matters, learn to trust. I am your host, Dr. Sabrina Edmond Williams, and I am so noted. Peace.
WMPR 90.1 FM, Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi.